ancient Egyptians are celebrated for their architectural marvels, advanced knowledge, and enduring culture. However, their culinary traditions remain a less explored yet fascinating aspect of their civilization. What did the ancient Egyptians eat? How did they cook their food? What role did food play in their daily lives and religious practices? This article embarks on a journey to uncover the culinary secrets of ancient Egypt, revealing the surprising ingredients, cooking techniques, and cultural significance of their cuisine. The role of food in ancient Egyptian society. Food in ancient Egypt was more than sustenance. It was a reflection of social status, a medium of religious expression, and a centerpiece of community gatherings. Food as a social indicator. The diet of an ancient Egyptian varied depending on their social status. The wealthy enjoyed a diverse range of foods, including exotic ingredients, while the poor relied on staples like bread and beer. Despite these differences, food was an essential part of daily life for all. The wealthy had access to ingredients such as honey, wine, and rare spices. Their meals often included meat from cattle, sheep, and goats, which were considered a luxury. By contrast, the laborers and farmers relied heavily on plant-based diets, with lentils, beans, and vegetables forming the bulk of their meals. The disparity in diet mirrored the broader social inequalities of ancient Egyptian society. Religious significance. Food offerings were a common practice in temples and tombs, symbolizing gratitude to the gods and provisions for the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that sustenance was necessary for a successful journey into eternity. Tomb paintings frequently depicted images of food and feasting, emphasizing the importance of nourishment in both life and death. Ritual meals were prepared to honor the gods, and specific foods were associated with deities, such as bread and beer for Osiris, the god of agriculture. Religious festivals also provided opportunities for communal feasting, where food was shared among participants as a sign of unity and devotion. These gatherings often featured elaborate preparations and showcased the culinary artistry of ancient Egyptian cooks. Staple foods of ancient Egypt. The backbone of the ancient Egyptian diet consisted of a few key staples that were both nutritious and versatile. Bread and grains. Bread was the cornerstone of the Egyptian diet. Made from emmer wheat and barley, bread came in various shapes and flavors, often sweetened with honey or flavored with herbs. The baking process involved grinding grains into flour using stone mills, which often left traces of grit in the bread, contributing to dental wear among the population. Bread was not only a staple, but also a form of currency. Workers, including those who built the pyramids, were often paid in bread and beer. Bread recipes varied widely, with some incorporating nuts, fruits, and even dried fish to create more complex flavors. Beer was the primary beverage and a staple for both the elite and the working class. Brewed from barley, it was often thick and nutritious, serving as a meal in itself. The brewing process involved fermenting barley loaves in water, resulting in a beverage that was mildly alcoholic and rich in calories. Beer was consumed daily and played a central role in religious rituals. Offerings of beer were made to gods, and it was believed to have protective qualities, often included in burial provisions to ensure the deceased's sustenance in the afterlife. Fruits and vegetables. The fertile Nile River provided an abundance of fresh produce. Onions, garlic, lettuce, cucumbers, and leeks were common vegetables, while dates, figs, and pomegranates were popular fruits. These ingredients were used in a variety of dishes, from simple stews to more elaborate preparations for feasts. Vegetables like onions and garlic were not only valued for their flavor but also for their medicinal properties. Lettuce, considered an aphrodisiac, was often associated with fertility rituals and offered to God. Protein sources in the Egyptian diet. While meat was a luxury for the wealthy, other protein sources were accessible to most Egyptians. Fish. Fish from the Nile was a significant protein source, often dried or salted to preserve it. Common species included catfish and tilapia, which were abundant and easy to catch using nets and traps. Fish was prepared in various ways, including grilling, boiling, and smoking. In coastal regions, seafood such as shellfish and crustaceans supplemented the diet. Poultry. Geese, ducks, and pigeons were commonly raised for meat. These birds were often roasted or stewed, providing a rich source of protein for those who could afford them. Eggs from domesticated birds were another valuable food source, often incorporated into bread and desserts. Legumes. Lentils, chickpeas, and fava beans were crucial plant-based proteins, forming the basis of many meals. These legumes were used in soups, stews, and even ground into pastes to create spreads and dips. Their long shelf life made them a practical choice for storage and trade. In cooking techniques and tools. The ancient Egyptians employed a variety of cooking methods and tools, many of which were surprisingly advanced. Baking and clay ovens and open flames were used to bake bread and roast meat. The Egyptians were adept at creating crispy textures and flavorful crusts. Bread molds made of clay allowed for consistent baking, while skewers and spits were used for roasting meat over open flames. Boiling and stewing. Clay pots were used for boiling and stewing, allowing for the preparation of hearty soups and stews. Ingredients such as lentils, onions, and meat were combined with herbs and spices to create nourishing meals. These dishes were often accompanied by bread, which was used to scoop up the stew. Fermentation. Fermentation was a key technique, not just for brewing beer but also for making dairy products like cheese and yogurt. Fermented foods were valued for their extended shelf life and enhanced flavors, as well as their health benefits. Preservation. To ensure food availability throughout the year, the Egyptians employed preservation techniques such as drying, salting, and pickling. Fish and meat were often salted and dried in the sun, while fruits like dates and figs were sun-dried to create long-lasting snacks. Unique ingredients and flavors. The ancient Egyptian pantry included ingredients that added unique flavors to their dishes. Honey. Honey was a prized sweetener, used in desserts, bread, and beverages. Beekeeping was a sophisticated practice, with honey collected from hives and stored in clay jars. Honey was also used for medicinal purposes and as an offering to gods. Herbs and spices. Coriander, cumin, dill, and anise were commonly used to season food, showcasing a sophisticated palate. These herbs and spices were grown locally and used fresh or dried. The Egyptians also imported exotic spices such as cinnamon and frankincense from distant lands, which were reserved for the elite. Oils and fats. Sesame oil and animal fats were used for cooking and as condiments. Oil lamps, filled with sesame or castor oil, were a common source of light, further highlighting the importance of oil in daily life. Feasts and festivals. Food played a central role in Egyptian festivals, with grand feasts showcasing the abundance and diversity of their cuisine. Religious festivals. During festivals dedicated to gods like Osiris and Hathor, offerings of food were made in abundance, and communal feasts were organized. These events featured a wide array of dishes, including roasted meats, fresh fruits, and pastries. Royal banquets. The pharaoh's court hosted lavish banquets with an array of dishes, symbolizing the wealth and power of the monarchy. Guests were served multiple courses, including appetizers, main dishes, and desserts. Fine wines and exotic ingredients highlighted the grandeur of these occasions. Preserving food for the afterlife. The Egyptians believed in providing food for the dead, leading to fascinating preservation techniques. Tomb offerings. Food was placed in tombs as sustenance for the deceased in the afterlife. These offerings often included bread, beer, meat, and fruits. The depictions of these provisions in tomb art highlight their importance and the belief in their spiritual efficacy. Mummified food. In some cases, food items were mummified to ensure their longevity in the tomb. Poultry, fish, and even cuts of meat were preserved using methods similar to those used for mummifying bodies. These items were carefully wrapped and placed in containers to accompany the deceased. Legacy of ancient Egyptian cuisine. The culinary practices of ancient Egypt have left a lasting imprint on modern Egyptian cuisine. Many traditional dishes, such as fulmetamus and falafel, can trace their roots back to ancient times. The techniques and ingredients used thousands of years ago continue to influence cooking in the region today. The emphasis on fresh, local ingredients and the use of herbs and spices to enhance flavors are hallmarks of Egyptian cuisine that persist to this day. By exploring these ancient traditions, we gain a deeper appreciation for the ingenuity and cultural richness of the Egyptian people. Conclusion. The ancient Egyptians' culinary traditions were as rich and varied as their culture. From the humble bread and beer consumed by workers to the lavish feasts of the pharaohs, food played a vital role in every aspect of their lives. By uncovering these secrets, we gain a deeper appreciation for their ingenuity and the lasting legacy of their cuisine. The next time you enjoy a hearty meal, take a moment to think about the ancient Egyptians who mastered the art of cooking long before modern times. Now, the three last of the savage groups, the historically typical Monorois. Embark on your own culinary exploration by trying some ancient Egyptian-inspired recipes and experience the flavors of a civilization that continues to captivate the world.